Hi everyone, it's Rochelle. On today's video, I will be making homemade buttery pie crusts and quiche, breakfast quiche. So let's jump right into it. In your mixing bowl, you want to combine your dry ingredients. So that is flour, salt, and sugar, and give it a stir. Okay, so my recipe calls for 1/4 cup of butter flavored shortening, a half a stick of butter or 1/4 cup of butter. I'm using plant-based butter, which is what I usually use, and I'm using the pre-measured Crisco sticks. I especially love to use these for baking. I like to use the tub of Crisco as well, but more for frying and for cooking over the stove. But for baking in the sticks, it comes pre-measured with the lines on the side. And remember, for this pie crust, you really need to make sure that your Crisco is also cold, not just your butter, okay? Because you want that crumbly sand-like texture for your pie crust before you add the water. Okay, I'm starting out with my fork, and then I'm going to use my hands to combine the shortening and the butter into the flour mixture. And what I'm looking for is the color of the flour to change to a yellowish color, and for it also to start crumbling in my hands. And then I'm going to add the water from my ice water cup. Okay, so as you can see, this is exactly what I'm looking for. It's crumbly and the color of the flour mixture has darkened. So now I'm going to get my 1/4 cup of ice cold water and pour it into my mixture. When you start to combine it with your hand, it's going to feel very mushy. That crumbly texture will start to be no more at this point. And as you can see, it's sticking to my fingers. But don't rush to put any more water or any more flour into it just yet. Start combining it and it should start pulling away from your fingers and also from the bowl. Congratulations, you have just made homemade pie crust. Now at this point you can go ahead and let it chill in your fridge. Just leave it in the bowl and cover it with some plastic wrap. Before baking, it's important to let it chill. But for me, before I let mine chill, I'm going to flatten mine a little bit. It just makes it easier, honestly, especially if you're making it in advance and not just want to refrigerate it. If you want to freeze it, it's so much easier to flatten it, roll it, and then chill it, which is exactly what I'm doing. I'm just going to pop it in the fridge for 15 to 30 minutes. Okay, so here's my chilled pie dough. I'm going to flatten it a little bit more to my desired thickness. Make sure you do not flatten it too thin, or else your mixture or whatever filling you're using it for will seep through and burn and just ruin your whole pie. And you don't want to start this from the beginning, although there is nothing wrong with starting from scratch until you get it right. And to avoid using more flour, I'm just going to throw that wax paper back on top and roll it out. It's easier to put it in your pie dish this way versus picking it up or rolling it onto your rolling pin. I just prefer doing it this way, so that way you can pat it down in all the crevices of the pie pan. Okay, so there's a few ways you can do this. You can trim your edges like I'm doing, or you can fold your edges in and crimp them with your fingers. Ultimately, I have decided to not only trim them, but use a fork just to give it a little design on the ends. It is now time to grab your ingredients for your quiche. I have 7 eggs mixed in with a little bit of milk, my ground pork sausage that I cooked. I'm going to start adding my seasoning to my eggs. I have some black pepper, and I'm going to also use some salt, garlic powder, and Italian seasoning. So for my quiche, I'm adding my ground sausage, tomatoes, a little bit of cheddar cheese, and then I'm going to pour my egg mixture on top, finishing off with more cheddar cheese. All of this is optional, obviously not the egg part. However, for your filling, you do not have to use cheddar cheese. You can choose a different cheese. You can choose a different meat. And the tomato, of course, is optional. You don't have to put tomato. You can substitute it for spinach or not use a vegetable at all. That's the one thing I really love about my breakfast quiche. You can put in it whatever you want. I baked my quiche at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 to 35 minutes. It is now complete. It has been cooled on a rack, still warm, and I'm going to have it with a banana on the side and a nice cup of apple juice. This is the perfect breakfast dish. The ingredients will be listed in the description box, and feel free to subscribe to my channel for any further notifications. Bye bye until next time. Thank you again for watching.